Pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity. It's Indigenous here, driving precision health equity. Indigenous really started of a personal journey in my daughters in 2014 through a routine eye care. Was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, which is a rare genetic eye disease. They're twins. And so over the last 7 to 8 years, I've been a father racing to help preserve my daughter's eyesight before statistically they go blind at 40 years old. They're now 21. Graduated from high school, working. The only problem is they have problems with their peripheral vision. They can't see in the dark. Therefore, Indigenous was created to help bring more diversity, women and minorities with the clinical trial space. As you know, that's been a big challenge. So, I mean, again, problem is pretty huge, as everyone knows. Less than 5% of genetic data that's being used and research that's being used are of minority and women. It's been about 95% European white males while I worked at the FDA. It may be around 80 to 85% now. Still a lot of work to be done. But as you can see, you can look at this from both ways that, we're using an incomplete data set in order to drive precision medicine, which is the future of healthcare. And so Indigenous is trying to help bridge that gap of having more women and minorities included in the trial. So we'll have better medications that's effective for all demographic and ethnic backgrounds. This is a tall order given my background at FDA, so I do understand the drug pipeline and the drug development process is quite expensive, complex, and slow. However, I do think innovation in the technology around next-gen sequencing, management information systems, and technology around blockchain could help innovate some of the areas that Indigenous is focused on. So we've created a solution of really driving precision health equity with our Genius platform. And essentially my background has given me the opportunity to map out what the clinical trial process is. As you know, it takes about $2.6 billion to bring a drug to market. And we're really focusing on the baseline, which is creating a blockchain-encrypted repository of this clinical and genomic data together. Now, I know that's a big task given the level of data that's going to be required to do that, but it's the only way going forward because, again, we've seen the result here in the US of how fragmented our data is between our clinical data and other data, let alone adding genomic data, which is going to be quite a hefty lift, given a little bit under a terabyte of data is used to do whole genome sequencing. And so we plan on creating that environment ecosystem in order to create an environment that you could plug and play with electronic health record and bring the rest of your data to have that complete look at a patient. Team of Howard and Stanford grads. Most of my team are Howard alumni. Dr. Wilson was with me on this is my second company. I built a blood test for PTSD under a company called True Genomics, now doing business as Polaris Genomics, raised about $2.5 million. And that blood test was to help with the disparities around veterans taking their lives and suicide. And so we built a gene expression assay on the next-gen sequencing platform of Illumina about 3 or 4 years ago in the Illumina Accelerator that looks at anxiety, depression, and bipolar. Eric Williams is our CTO, background cybersecurity, built a cybersecurity app for Tata and then exited in 2020. We've expanded globally. We have Dr. Wala, who helps us aggregate Africa genome samples in Kenya. Michael Akinyele is also a board member as well, and he was a former chief innovation officer for the VA and also a Howard alum grad. All 4 gentlemen are Howard alum grads. So a little bit of the technology overview. As you can see, really what we're trying to do is bring all of this data together in order to drive, a better insights, genetic ancestry, looking at disease risk, pharmacogenomics. But we want to take it another step forward. We do believe that it is time for, some of this research to be done at the community level, where I think the trust is there as opposed to at pharma companies and some of the large government institutions who have been trying to aggregate large data set. However, a lot of those data sets still remain 80 to 85% European white. So there's still a problem there. And we believe that, with our trust in the community, we'll be able to drive that increase in diversity. So in patient engagement area, we've created like a platform on the front end. We do understand curating those environments. Give an example with my daughters. For the last 7 years, we've been reaching out to other members in the community, twins, and of course, non-twins that have developed a rare eye condition. And so my daughters have essentially grown a ecosystem for themselves of, teenagers that were going through, the notification of them losing their eyesight, and they've built a pretty strong community. And so what we're going to do is replicate that within our platform so that we could create communities for other individuals in other disease areas as they go through their journey, whether it's cancer, retinitis pigmentosa, or other disease areas. So really the discovery platform will kind of create that, identifying the genome phenotype by aggregating a lot of the data set that we'll be able to do whole genome sequencing. But we've also added some strong partners with Lucas Pi Bio and Heliplex that will be able to help us carry through the first, preclinical development, looking at those gene targets for cell therapy areas, and new targets around that's identified in minority community that have effectiveness around some of this health disparity areas that we're focused on. And our goal is then to move into partnership with large scale companies to then do drug discovery and drug development and effectively regulatory approval. Large market, I think, as you can imagine, less than 5% of the world has been sequenced to this point. So a lot of work and a lot of ways to go if we plan on doing effective genomic surveillance. So we see the market as a huge opportunity. As far as Afrocentric population and diversity, as you can see, this is just an idea of around folks that have identified as Black across the globe that we could focus on. And we think that the target markets are there. We've started to focus on some of the key areas like Africa and the Caribbean. Traction-wise, we've partnered, we're a Microsoft partner. We went through the Founder Institute pre-seed, South Africa, came out of there with some partnership in Africa with some of the key academic institutions like the NIH. So CAVI, RE, and RBC are all in countries that have done reputable and aggregated large data sets. We've aggregated our team. We started looking at targeted potential customers. We're now setting up to open our lab within the next couple of months. There's been a delay due to COVID, but we are going to be in Cape Town where we'll have one of the first whole genome sequencing capability there in order to do clinical grade sequencing. We recently acquired Encryption, which is a blockchain currency platform, in order to provide that privacy and security that there's a big trust concerned around in minority communities. We believe that acquisition will help build that privacy, security, trust, and also a compensation mechanism to pay individuals that contribute to the data repository, over 1 million African genome by the end of this year. Business model, again, I think, what we've been able to see is what, we've now upgraded to where whole genome sequencing will be the most effective way to look at clinical utility, and moving from the research bench into, actual application in order to drive better health outcomes. We're doing a pre-seed raise. We've been over a couple of months now. We've raised about 1.75 of that. 1.6 was through traditional VCs, and we recently won a J&J quickfire challenge for $175K to build out our technology overview. And so that's the end of my presentation. Looking forward to speaking with anybody that's interested in what we're trying to do and help bring more diversity to the clinical trial space. Thank you.